How do you do, y'all? Tables here. In the background, we're going to show some footage of our one of our first tier 16s. Just kind of we're just juicing it up a little bit. Nothing super special. I finally got all my watchstones. I finally got some tier 16 maps, and so I figured why not juice it up just a little bit. Nothing too crazy, like not any kind of delirious map or anything. But this is pretty much what I have access to at the moment. But the build is going pretty well. Uh, I will 100% say this is absolutely League Start viable. You can clear any map you want to. Some of the bosses are a little bit tricky, especially with this build, because it requires you to sit there and just hammer in fuses to the target, right? And sometimes you got to be on the move, right? And I think that's the biggest downfall of explosive arrow, right? Is that it's not it's not a very you can't just zoom around and fire a couple of shots and expect to deal damage. Like you have to sit there and you have to pound on your targets, because the more fusings you have, the more damage you're doing, right? And that's its biggest downfall, right? It does pretty decent with the mechanic for like the actual Scourge mechanic. But I find myself having to rely on my ballista totem setup to be able to kill some of the harder rares quicker. Obviously, this is the case because we're not running barrage while we map. We're running greater multiple projectiles. And we still have a little bit more damage to squeeze out of this build. I still got to get 2120 on my gems, especially my explosive arrow, which actually hit 20 in this map. So the damage feels pretty good. We still have some ramping, like I said. The gems, we have 2 rings and a belt we still need to get. I have a breakdown of the gear that I've spent on the build so far, so you guys will get to see kind of an understanding of what I've spent so far. And this has been all my currency. None of it was given to me. I farmed it all up myself. So as a league start, I think this is fantastic. I think this is fantastic as a mapper. I think it's fantastic. We have a lot of really good strengths in the build, like a lot of leech, which couples really well with our like major boost to attack speed and frenzy charge generation. We have really solid defenses, about 82 to 85% evasion right now, with more refined pieces. I think we can get that all the way up to 90, 91, 90, even 92%. We have 85% spell suppression, which I am currently trying to look for a piece and or craft a piece that will give me the extra 15%. I decided not to go the acrobatics route for the spell dodge, because unless it's 75 or above, I just don't think it's worth it. I really don't. I'd rather have the straight 50% damage reduction on spells coupled with my evasion. I think that makes us very very tanky. We are 88 in this map, I believe. I just got done with this map actually. Yeah, we're level 88, 2 levels from 90. We still have, I think, 2 more health nodes to pick up. I was worried that our health was going to be a little bit low, but to be honest, I mean, it's been pretty solid. For soft core, we're not really getting hit a bunch. If I die, I lose XP, no big deal. I still try to play as safe as possible, though as you saw about a minute and a half ago, accidents do happen, and I would certainly expect that from this build. This is not an immortal build by any stretch of the word, but for the most part, most of the time you will have some time to react to your situation and adjust your character accordingly. And as you can see, like, we're able to just go in there, throw some charges, back out, get all that AoE going, and you see right there, you get these big fat explosions. And so that's pretty much where the build is right now. I feel really good about it. I haven't done Shaper. I haven't done the big bosses. I haven't done like Minotaur. And things like that. I think that I would put this out there as strictly a league starter and in-game mapper than I would a than I would a bosser at this point. I think I would have to really tweak the gear considerably uh, to make this into a kind of bosser. I don't know if this skill really lends itself to being both, to be honest. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but judging like from all the maps that I've done and everything that I've done with it, I don't see it really being that enjoyable or efficient of an experience to be considered like a shaper farmer or an uber content farmer, right? This is your mapper. This is what you want to do when you need to farm some currency, ramp it up a bit more, do some delirium maps, and I think it works very well, especially coupled with our ballista totem setup, which we have changed to a 6 link in our chest piece. I don't have the 6 link currently, but it is in the POB. We're doing 1.5 million on the GMP setup on 5 fusings, and we attack a little less than 4 per second, and that's with Blood Rage. And then our ballista is doing about the same, maybe a little bit less. So on especially on rares, when that's really when you're putting it down, and on map dosses, we're pumping about 2 million DPS, which is honestly more than fine for anything that you're gonna want to do. Besides maybe 100% delirious maps, but like I said, we still have some more upgrading to do. I'm not even hitting those numbers currently with the gear that I have, and for the most part, I feel like we're performing very well. Chaos res is a big weakness of ours right now. I don't know if I'm going to be able to fix that. It might just be one of those things that we have to deal with, and one of those things where we we just need to be very cautious in hunter maps or anything that even remotely deals with chaos damage. For the most part, I've been able to dodge it. This is the first time in T16 that it's really given me like a really hard problem. So that's the map, or excuse me, that's the build so far. I'm gonna exit this video, and we're gonna get into the game here. Let's go over the build. Desopic 6 link. We switched to hypothermia over increased critical damage because we are scaling skitterbots, and so it works really well. I'm playing with snipers and assassin's mark. I need to double check the POB on which one actually does the most damage. We have a 16% attack speed, and since we crit a lot, we're getting increased LE damage. If we dealt a crit recently, which is even boosts our damage even more. Our belt is terrible, and we can do a lot better. We're saving up. I don't have a ton of currency. I have 1 EX right now. Our boots, very standard. As much ES as I could get. Could probably do for a bit of an upgrade here, especially with the 30% movement speed. But we're getting that since we don't really get hit that often. We are getting the 10% from the enchant. We have a nice little bow fires, an additional arrow, 42 LE. The only thing that I wish this had was crit multiplier or another crit chance roll. That would be ideal. We're running a fairly decent amulet, though I wish it had increased dex gems. That would be probably the most ideal, and or fire. And then we have Lava Lash, which is 2 clears and a golden. So I would recommend, unless you're swimming in cash, put it on something that is worthwhile. But it does give us a ton of damage. Lava Lash is big for us. Starkonja's Hood, kind of self-explanatory. And Carcass Jack, which will eventually be 6-linked. Our setup now is Explosive Arrow, Barrage, Focus Ballista, and Ballista Totems. That will go into here. These 2 will obviously drop out. And we will add it with probably LE damage with attacks and multi-totem setup. So it's easier to just plop them down. We get 5 totems, and they're able to just absolutely just pump out fusings, right? And we're shooting, what, 3 on a barrage? That's 3, that's 4. That's 5, 6, 3, 4, 5, 6. For some reason, I thought we were shooting 7, but I think we're shooting 6. 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we're shooting 6 arrows at a time. Barrage, we're shooting about a little over 3.0 attacks per second on barrage ourselves. So that's about 18 fusings, which is just around 2 million damage for us, which is pretty solid. And I'm very happy with that. But it's a different play style. So that's pretty much the build. We're trying to squeeze out a little bit more damage. We did change some things on the POB. Uh, we did go ahead and pick up aspect of the eagle. Not much changed to be quite honest. We picked up fervor for an extra. I think we're running 5 frenzy charges now. I got a fairly decent jewel setup, just max life. If you can find it, fire damage or fire damage over time multiplier, both would be ideal. But really, we really want the attack speed. That's what we're looking for. And this is only the level 90 tree, mind you. And we are on the GMP setup right now. About 1.7 DPS, 4.4 full DPS, and that includes our 6-link focus ballista totem setup, which actually actually does fairly well. 1.8. It does about as much damage as we do on ballista while we're running GMP. So I think it works really well. That means our boots are going to be empty. I haven't figured out if I'm going to put anything here or not. I'm not really sure if we absolutely need any more gems. And then our level 100 tree, still no clusters. Just picking up some extra crit. Going far side just for some extra attack speed and damage. Nothing too crazy. I think we picked up a couple of masteries here and there. I think we actually have 1 point left over at the current moment, and I haven't figured out what I'm going to do with that. I might end up getting some regen to help lessen the effects of Blood Rage. So that's it. Everything feels good. It feels smooth. It feels fairly fast. It's not the fastest build. It's not the best build, but it's certainly different than what I've ever played before, and I think that's why I like it so much. You know what I mean? I'm not. I don't know how interested I am in having like the most meta, the most fast, the most efficient. Like I want to. I want to have fun, and this skill for me, this skill is fun. It's fun to watch. It's fun to shoot. It's fun to watch packs like just absolutely blow up. It's honestly it's a great time, and I love it. One thing we could do, we could drop some nodes somewhere else and pick up some of this spell suppression. That'd be 9, 12. You know, that would get us closer to 100%, and we get some more movement speed. Not that we really need it, to be quite frank. We have a ton of movement speed as it sits. So, anyways, this is the build. I think this week, maybe tomorrow or Tuesday, I am going to section off all the trees and get you guys a nice little leveling situation going. We'll have a full leveling guide in the POB, much like I have for my Vortex build, which is right here. We'll have like a full breakdown of what I did and what I think you should do as far as your leveling goes, so that anyone playing the build can have as easy of a time as possible. And we will go from there. By the way, this is what we spent on our gear so far, the gear that we have obtained in the league. 1C for the helm, 14C for the carcass jack, 140C with us for it came 6-link for the Death Opus. The neck was 70 with a 50C anoint. The gloves were 40. The quiver was an EX, mainly because of the high LE damage mod and the fire additional arrow mod, which, by the way, if you get anything with an additional arrow, that is a massive boost to your DPS in this build, and it should absolutely be prioritized. That's really the only pieces we've bought on the trade league. Everything else was pretty much crafted or found. And that's it. That's the build so far. I'm super happy with it. I'm going to get this thing all sectioned off, and this will be something that you can hit 90 with. You can do maps with, and you can just farm. And then when when you decide you want to get something a little bit more powerful to stack some currency, I think this is a hella fun build. I was in maps up to tier 10 with on a 5 link that had like 100 damage. It was awful, awful bow, and I was still able to get to tier 10, and then I finally farmed up enough currency um to get to the Sophis. So I think a lot of people would like explosive arrow if you're like a ranger type of character. I think this is a great build. But I want it to be known, I would say that this is not the this build is not suited for bossing, clearing every single bit of the content. I would say that this is more of a mapper than anything else, to be honest. So, guys, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the update. Look for another video in the next couple of days, maybe 2, 3, maybe give me like 3 days, so I can get a really nice league starter video going, get some good editing in, pictures, all that good stuff. I want to give you guys a nice proven league starter build that I can use for anyone that wants to start a new build this league or for next league. So y'all take care, be good, have a good beginning of the week, and I'll talk to you guys very soon.